Hi, loves. It's Miss Antinko. I hope you are enjoying your weekend, but we need to move on to our digital learning. This is my first attempt at making a video, so we will see how it goes. Remember, you can contact me at schoology.com, Remind101, and you should be checking the school's website and the Cobb County website for updates. Okay. Just to recap, you should make sure you take your metabolism quiz tonight. It's a quick quiz on Schoology.com. It's over photosynthesis and cellular respiration. And for those of you who haven't taken the quiz, here is a recap. You have your respiration and photosynthesis equations. Remember that the products of one of the equations become the reactants of the next. Photosynthesis is performed by plants. They take carbon dioxide and water and turn it into glucose and oxygen. And that glucose and oxygen is taken up by organisms and converted into ATP. Moving on to the next property of life. What is that easy way that I told you to remember all the properties of life? Give you a moment, think about it. That's right, it's Mr. H. Craig. The M stands for metabolism, reproduction, homeostasis, cells, response to environment, evolution, and growth and division. We are going to be focusing on cell growth. Cells need to grow and divide if they need to heal, or after a scrape, a cut, if you've had a broken bone. Also, your cells need to grow and divide as we grow in age. So you are definitely much larger than when you were a baby. So you have had more cells grow and divide. This is a cell going through cell division. If you look at all of the bumps and the small little circles on the outside of the cells, those are cell receptors. That's how cells speak to each other and communicate. The cell has 4 main stages. This is an overall view of a cell's life cycle. So let's look at each individual one. The first one is GAP1 or G1. This is cell growth and normal functions. This is a cell just living its life. Next, you have synthesis. So after a cell is living its life and it's getting ready to divide, then it needs to make a copy of the DNA because, as you know, every cell has a nucleus, or not every cell, but eukaryotic cells that go through mitosis have a nucleus, and in there is their DNA. So if you're going to make 2 cells from one cell, you need to make a copy of that DNA first. Then you have GAP2 or G2. This is just additional growth. Remember, if it's going to split in half, it's kind of got to get a little bit bigger first. Finally, you have mitosis, and this is where your cell actually divides. You have nuclear division, which is what we also call mitosis, and then you have division of the cytoplasm and all the other organelles. This is called cytokinesis. Cells have to be large enough and the DNA has to be undamaged for them to divide as well. Not all cells divide at the same rates, just like you and your friends didn't all grow at the same rate. Depending on what the cell is needed for, then it's going to divide faster or slower. So your skin cells, they divide pretty fast, about every 2 weeks. They get exposed to, water, the elements, putting lotion on. All of those actions are going to cause your skin cells to need to divide more often. Whereas a red blood cell, it can last for about 4 months, and your liver cells can last about 300, 500 days. Your intestinal lining, that's the part of your body that helps with digestion, that is constantly being bombarded by food and water and stomach acids, so it gets replaced about every 4 to 5 days. And then your muscle cells and your bone cells, often those cells don't divide and replicate for about 16 years. There are even some cells that don't divide. We'll talk about those in a second. Cell size also has to be limited. You can't have a big old giant cell. Sometimes you think, oh, if it's bigger, it's better. Not all the time. This is based off of the cell size surface to volume ratio. you want to have a larger number on the left and a smaller number on the right. So the larger the number to the smaller the number, the better the cell can function. This is an example of the cell size lab that we would have done. These are beet cubes. Oh, goodness. These are beet cubes, and beets are a purple vegetable, and they have this dye, or they have a pigment in them, and they get cut up into squares. And then we would have taken a beaker full of bleach, and we know that bleach, when it comes in contact with something like your clothes, it turns it white. So we would have placed all of these cells in a beaker, and we would have timed them to see how long they took to clear. And you notice that none of the cells got completely clear. And this is because of diffusion. Remember, diffusion wants to go from high to low. A smaller cell is able to diffuse a lot faster because it has less volume to diffuse through, whereas these larger cells, they took longer to diffuse and actually won't fully diffuse ever. So smaller is better in this instance. All right, so just some quick reminders. Cell growth is coordinated. That means you've got step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then if cells are large, they have to have a unique shape. I don't know if I can move myself, so we'll see. All right, so you have your red blood cells. Those are the cells that help us move oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body, and they are much larger than your normal skin cells. Let's see if that works too. So they have this divot in the middle, and that helps them to have more surface area to that volume. These are your normal cells. You can see how small they are. The other cells that are quite large that have unique shapes are your nerve cells. These are cells that run from your brain all the way to your toes. So they are normally long and stringy, and this allows them to send those messages from your brain to your toes and your toes back to your brain. All right, guys, this is all I have for you today. Remember, you need to be checking Schoology and Remind 101 frequently for updates and assignments. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Remember, my digital learning hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 12. Also, you need to be reading pages 130 to 133 for cell cycle if you have any more, if you would like some more insight and clarity on these steps and the parts of the cell cycle. And you will have a virtual ticket out the door. That's how you're going to earn credit during these days that we're not seeing each other. All right, guys, this is all I have for you today. Check back tomorrow. I'm going to try to do as many video learnings as possible, but if not, your notes and your virtual ticket will be there. Just know that I love you guys, and I hope you are washing your hands, and don't worry, we'll get through this digital learning together. I can't wait to see you guys. Bye.